Hi everyone, my name's David. I'm running a session of Bite Me, which is a Powered by the Apocalypse game of werewolf pack dynamics. It's a new game by Becky Anderson, who was one of the creators behind Lovecraft-esque and sundry other games. It's currently on Kickstarter for the next week or so. I think until about the 21st, I want to say, but I could be wrong on that. So if you're interested, do check that out. I'll put links to that below in the on the video. This game is being run as part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. So the Gauntlet is an online role-playing game community. We focus on playing sort of independent games, whether that be sort of OSR story games, pretty much anything else in between. We schedule gaming sessions, online gaming sessions like this, when we have sort of a central calendar where people post up games that you can join up on. We have a number of podcasts which are all really great, and I recommend you check them out. And as well, we have the Codex RPG zine, which has all sorts of cool stuff, including both sort of new short form games and additional material for existing games. So again, well worth a check out. You can find more information on all that stuff on the website below. It's gauntlet-rpg.com. So yeah, my name is David. I use he/him pronouns. I am based in Sheffield in the United Kingdom. As I said, this is the second session in our run. Last week we focused mostly on character creation and setting up the world in which we'll be playing. To give a brief Pricey overview, the setting's fairly light touch, but we are set in a roughly contemporary time period in the US, specifically in a small town called Harper's Den in Oregon, about about an hour or so's drive outside of Portland, near the Mount Hood National Park. Lots of forests, lots of mountains, very werewolfy. So I'm going to just quickly go around and get everyone to just introduce themselves. Then we'll get them to introduce characters. Then we'll just go over a couple of last minute bits for we're joined by two new players today who will be giving us their links to some of the other characters, and then we'll pick up where we left off last time. So yes, if we'll go through this in order of the character keeper. Yeah, Wade, if we can start with you.
Hi, I'm Wade. I use he/him. I'm from Canada. Today I'm playing Ash, who's the PAX enforcer. He's kind of a rugged outdoorsy hunter, outfitter type. And he sort of does what the rest of the pack maybe not always willing to do.
Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, and Kyle.
All right, I'm Kyle, he/him pronouns. I play Colt, the Cub playbook, the newest member of the pack who is just new to everything.
Brilliant, thank you. And yeah, Rob.
Hi, I'm Rob. I use he/him, and I am playing as Rick McCready, goes by Mac. He's a PI in Portland. Used to be a deputy here in this town, and a member of this pack until the cub who he had taken under his wing was killed in an ambush, which he blames the rest of the pack for. He feels that they threw them in at the deep end. So he's back now for reasons that have not yet been disclosed.
Nice, thank you. And yeah, finally, Alan.
Hi there, I'm Alan. I too am in Yorkshire, but further north than Dave. And I'm playing Doug Hart. Doug is the Greypelt character type. He used to be Pack Alpha until the current Alpha Evelyn defeated him. He still has the scars of that. He's been vaguely disassociated from the pack. He's officially still a member, but he moved away after he lost the fight with Evelyn, and now kind of acts as the wild old lawkeeper. He knows the history of the pack, and Evelyn is perfectly happy to see him when he comes back, but he's agreed not to cause trouble as the previous Alpha. In terms of history with the pack mates, I was the one who misled Ash and kind of set him up to kill Evelyn's partner Claudia. I suggested that the relationship between the two of them was a danger to the pack, perhaps to our identity or our security. I didn't quite tell him what to do, but I certainly led him to that position. And I don't know if I feel guilty about that. It didn't work because Evelyn still challenged me. The death of a partner, simply she channeled into rage, whereas I hoped it would just put her off. I'm not entirely convinced Evelyn's up to, I'm not sure she has the wisdom to induct our new cub. Though I think probably the one that was killed that that Mac is annoyed about might have been killed on my watch. So maybe I don't have any particular expertise in this either.
Excellent, thank you. Yes, so yeah, one of the things we just need to do for those new characters. I mean, Alan just touched upon it, but we have these pack member links, which act as a kind of dramatic focus for the characters. So yes, I think you said, Alan, that your pack member link is to Ash because of sort of the betrayal that you led him down. So that's cool. So if we can hear Colt's pack member link and who you think that is to, that would be cool. Kyle. Oh, sorry, you're muted.
Thank you. I was planning to do the pack link with Devora, but I don't think they're going to be in this session. So
that's right. Yeah. For practical purposes, it might be better to choose a different character because yeah, Devora will be. I think that Alex is only going to be back for next session. So yeah, you might get more mileage from another character.
Do I have to pick a PC or could I pick the NPC Alpha?
This one would need to be a PC. Yeah, that's.
Okay, then I guess I have to go with Ash because I don't think I've met the other two yet.
Yeah, that sounds fair. That sounds fair. Cool. So yeah, if you can just let us know what your Pac-Man member link is and sort of what this represents, and then we'll. So I'm just flicking back to the character keeper myself.
Yes, the pack member link is what packmate do you hero worship? What could they do to break that trust? I'm gonna go with Colt hero worships Ash because well, he's the enforcer. He's the cool tough guy who gets stuff done, and I guess he could break that trust by not being in control of things as much as Colt thinks he is, like really dropping the ball on something.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, so I'll just give a brief recap on where we were last session. As I said, last session we primarily did character and pack creation, so there wasn't much actual play took place, but Devora and Ash were at the hunting lodge that you use as your kind of home base. It's up in the forest, a little ways off the beaten track. I'll give a description of it in a moment. They were in there discussing there's been a recent increase recently there, as I alluded to earlier. There's a new pack sort of muscling in on your territory, another werewolf pack coming down from the north. That was something they were discussing. At that point, Mac made his entrance again. There was a brief confrontation, is probably the best word for it, between Mac and Devora. It wasn't violent. If anything, it looked like Devora was trying to reconcile, but it didn't particularly go that way. And at that point, the Alpha, Evelyn Moore, made her presence known. She arrived at the cabin. She declaimed that she'd found out from her contact on the force. She was an she was the ex-sheriff of the town, and basically said that she found out that Claudia, her former lover, had been basically, Ash had killed her and sort of put her in a car and driven her off a bridge to make it look like an accident. But sort of the autopsy file has been the autopsy has been conducted, and it's been flagged up that there was probably foul play involved in the death. So she came in angry and also kind of angry that Mac had just returned, or at least surprised to see Mac there. Is probably the fair way of putting it. So I think what I'm interested in seeing first is we'll do one of those kind of cutaway scenes where I think that Doug and Colt are in the forest nearby the hunting lodge. I think maybe Doug is showing Colt the ropes a bit, or teaching some lesson. I'd quite like to see that scene if we can, and then we'll feed you back into the scene with the others, and pick up where we left off.
Okay. I am not going to essay an American accent, so you'll just have to hear the voice of Sam Elliott as I speak. And it's kind of, I think probably I'm as the lawkeeper, I think I'm probably running through some of the history of the pack, and I bet you don't even know why this place is called Harper's Den, do you, kid?
No, does that have something to do with us?
It certainly is. Jed Harper founded this town, and he was one of us. He was the first pack alpha, and it's him who set some of our traditions. He wanted other people to settle here, non-wolves. So this became a prosperous community. And so, though it's called Harper's Den, the tradition has always been that we never hunt people, because Jed set the rule against it.
That sounds like a good rule to me. I never knew we went this far back in this town.
Oh, we go back much further than that, kid. Before Jed, there have always been wolves in these forests. Back in the day, it was Native Americans, and Jed had to fight to make some space here. when he arrived, but he established good relations with those packs too. You have to remember, kid, there's a lot more to this than they teach you in school.
I'm getting that impression. Yeah.
So you tell me, kid, what are you most worried about?
So far, everything seems to be going pretty. I mean, I haven't run into much pack problems yet. Haven't gotten into any fights with the other packs. I mean, I hear that there's that new one that's moving in, but I mean, I've never been in a fight before, wolf or human, so not sure how that's gonna go, but so far so good.
Well, my advice, Colt, is follow the lead, follow Evelyn's lead, follow Ash's lead, because they'll keep you safe.
Yeah, they seem like they know what they're doing, so that makes at least two of us.
Yeah, but if they tell you to do something you think is stupid, you come to me.
Colt's gonna like visibly hesitate for a moment and then go, "Okay, sure, Doug. Yeah, I'll do that."
And Doug is playing heavily the wise, experienced old head. Now, time we got back to the lodge, kid. Come on.
I follow.
Yeah, cool. And yeah, as you're coming back to the lodge again, as the others did, you can smell on the air when the alpha arrives. She has a distinctive scent of pine resin and oiled steel, and just that sense of command and of power. And as you come in, so the hunting lodge is set in a clearing in the sort of big pine forest. It's one of those, your sort of classic sort of log cabin style hunting lodges. It's got the sort of that sort of stone foundation with then heavy timbers making up the building itself. There's smoke curling out of the chimney. So the hunting lodge is actually it's set quite far into the woods. It's a little ways out of town, and the road that would lead up here, or the path that would lead up here, the track, is kind of almost intentionally sort of disused and abandoned. You can't really drive a car all the way up to the lodge itself. You have to kind of park it off the ways a little bit and come up on foot. You'll come. The two of you will sort of come into the lodge through the back door. So inside, it's quite homely, almost surprisingly so. But it's warm, it's hot. There's a smell of food cooking. There is a big fire going in the fireplace, and there's all sorts of there's lots of like so there aren't really so much chairs and stuff around here, but there's lots of sort of blankets and cushions and stuff strewn around by the fire. There are some photos of previous members of the pack and group photos of the pack sort of from years past up on the walls. There's the other thing that on the walls there are quite a lot of guns and sort of shotguns and rifles and the like. But what you will all know is that all of these, or all of these guns that are put up and displayed, they've all been rendered non-functional. Somehow they've had the trigger mechanism broken on them, or stuff like that. The barrels filled in. There are as you come in, and this is where we'll kind of get that replay of the end of the scene from last time, where Devora Devora, who will obviously be sort of fading into the background for this session. Ash and Mac are all in the living quarters. There's also one of the other relatively new werewolves here. They are called Rain. They're sort of also set down by the fire with a beer. They've come in. They've joined the pack since Mac left, but more recent. But they have been around longer than Colt. Sorry, I had a total blank on the name there. And so, Evelyn has come in. She's made her big statement about realizing that Claudia was murdered, and she turns, almost as an afterthought at that point towards Mac, and says, "What the fuck are you doing back here?"
A client who's very unhappy, so I'm here to investigate something on their behalf. I thought I'd check in, let you know I'm in town. Just common courtesy, you know.
Common fucking courtesy. You're lucky I don't rip out your throat where you stand after you ran off.
As I recall, you were all right with me leaving.
Remember, Evelyn, once a member of the pack, always a member of the pack.
If I'd been in charge then, we'd have had him drummed out after he bailed on us. But the old man makes a point. You are still technically a member of the pack. So I suppose we'll put up with you for now. And yes, sorry, Alan, I've just seen your note on the your move, so I'll just double check that.
I think it's better if it has to be requested. Otherwise, I could keep throwing narrating bits of pack history and milking the system, which seems I don't think that can be the intent.
Yeah, no, that's fair. However, I am going to let you. Mark one for that the information you gave about Jed Harper, because I thought that was cool. So you can mark your point of experience, and I'll add one to the pack pool. Cool. So yes, and I think Evelyn's just going to stand there for a moment. Rain gets up and passes her a beer, which she sort of drinks half of in sort of a couple of gulps, and says, fine, Mac, but if you're going to be back here in our territory again, then you can act like a member of the pack. She kind of looks around and says, Ash, Mac, I want the two of you to investigate Claudia's death. I want the head of whoever did this. It's probably that lot from up north. This looks like a declaration of war. But, well, you used to be a half-decent detective, Mac, and you still seem to be playing at it, so...
Well, if it's war they want, they might end up getting it. We'll make sure things get sorted out how they need to.
So you got problems with another pack, is that right?
There's they've been I've noticed signs around the border more. We had that confrontation with them before, obviously, and wouldn't be surprised.
But I mean, would they just kill someone? I didn't think things had gotten there. I didn't think things were going to get there. I figured there might be a few scraps, but are we already killing each other?
Okay, so at this point, Mac pulls a rolled up newspaper out of his jacket pocket and lays it out. And it's got the headline brutal animal attack, or something along those lines. Obviously no graphic details, but there's a picture of the victim on the page. Yeah, that's why I'm here.
I look at Colt and I shove him hard in the shoulder. Kid, you listen to the alpha. What I'm trying to head off is any risk that she thinks he's disobeying her by raising that opinion.
Okay, Colt is gonna quiet up and just nod along with. Okay, yeah, sure. I'll listen. Whatever.
Cool. Yeah. And Evelyn's going to turn to Doug and say, "So, old man, you've seen anything? You spend enough of the time wandering the edge of our territory. Have you seen anything unusual?"
I wonder how you feel about a retrospective Harness the Wolf, because I'm curious whether I could ask the question, where does a pack need to be?
Yeah, sure thing. That sounds fair.
Which is plus heart. So I'm using the roll for the party link on the character keeper. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'll just put that actually in the chat here as well, just so I can't remember what. Put it in the pack.
Hugely simple werewolf. Was that accidental?
It was, yeah. I was very impressed.
Roll for your party knows stuff. Okay. So reroll +2. Oh dear, 10 becomes 12. On 10 plus, ask 3 questions. Sorry, I'll just read the move for
go for it, yeah.
When you use your wolf senses and instinct in either human or wolf form, e.g. heightened sense of smell, hearing, hunting, etc., to find something, someone, or find out information, roll plus feral. On a hit, you ask the MC questions at any time during this scene. Get +1 forward per question if you immediately act on the answer. So on 10 plus, ask 3 questions. So in that boundary area, where between us and no, hang on, I know where Claudia was killed, where the body was found, don't I?
So yeah, the body was found in there's a big river that flows into the it's the I actually knew this, but I have now forgotten the name off the top of my head. But yes, there's a river, the big river that flows. It actually flows into the Columbia eventually. At Portland, but yeah, it's a tributary of the Columbia River, and basically, yeah, her car was found had basically gone through the barriers on one of the bridges leading out of town.
Okay. So let's assume that as part of my hunting routes, I've passed by there. So the first question I want to ask is, what smells wrong there?
Yeah, so I think there's definitely werewolves have definitely been there. By the time you went there, it was probably you weren't able to smell to identify an individual from it, but you could absolutely tell that werewolves had been in the area, and yeah.
Is it fictionally interesting if, though I think I set up Ash to kill Claudia, I don't know he did it?
Yeah, certainly. That's as far as I know, in fact, yeah, the only person who does know is Devora.
Exactly.
You may strongly suspect it, but you don't necessarily know
Okay.
it.
What was the strongest emotion in that location?
That's a good question. I think it was probably. I think it probably was fear. You think that Claudia probably was, maybe if only at the last minute, but certainly was aware of what happened to her, or what was happening to her.
Okay. And the third question, where does the pack need to be?
Yeah. So yeah, as I said, this sort of gets back into you know that the tribe, the pack rather, from the north, has been operating obviously on the sort of northern end of your territory, so further out into the forest. But they are definitely pushing in, and they've actually this new this victim that Mac is investigating, this human victim, was found. It was actually not far from. There's a kind of roadhouse, spit and sawdust dive type bar outside of town on sort of one of the highways, kind of a truck stop bar type of place, which coincidentally is where Claudia used to work. But yeah, this victim that Mac is investigating was found not far from there in the woods. Yeah.
So my advice, I guess, is that we should be on that northern boundary, just making sure that our scent is clearly noticeable that this is our territory. And I suppose that what's in my mind is, if Ash did kill Claudia, it would be much less trouble to the pack if we could nail that on this lot up north. So without lying to Evelyn, that's what I'm thinking.
Sure thing. Shall I say? It would certainly make sense if they've been nosing around Donnelly's, I think is what we're going to call the bar. That might be where they learned about Claudia from. And she finishes the rest of her beer, and says, Well, as I say, Ash, Mac, I want you to look into this. And then she's gonna again just nod down and say, and I guess you better get this pup battle fit. Things are. We're going to have to make a demonstration to them soon.
All right, just tell me where to go and what to do.
Oh, I will do. Don't you worry.
Maybe you could tag along with me in the meantime.
Certainly. Keep him out of trouble.
All right. I mean, it wouldn't. Mac, Ash. I mean, would it be better if I went with you, or I don't? Third set of eyes, or
Ash will kind of rise to his feet at this point and sort of say, "Look, I know you're eager, but if we run into something out there, we're better off just the two of us getting in and out and coming back with a full pack later. You might
right.
you might end up being a bit of a liability."
Colt just kind of like pauses and, okay, all right then, yeah, sure.
Excellent. So
Mac looked like he was about to say something before Ash stepped in and just like seems to relax a little bit after Ash speaks. But yeah.
Perfect. Cool. So I think we will end the scene there. And I think Ash, Mac, what do you are you going to be working together, do you think, or splitting up to conduct this investigation?
Well, I mean, I'm just going to head out to the dive bar. Ash can do whatever he wants. He can come with me, or he can go his own way.
Ash is probably going to shadow Mac, and he's going to give the impression that it's because, like, he obviously, doesn't completely trust Mac and, like, keep an eye on him. But there's obviously other reasons why Ash wants to keep a close eye on what Mac finds out here.
Yeah, perfect. Cool. Actually, we're at sort of just gone 10 past now, so we'll call a quick 5-minute break here, and then we will return to see what people get up to. Cool. Yeah, see you all in 5. Cool. Yeah, so I think we'll kick off that scene with Ash and Mac arriving at the at Donnelly's, the Roadhouse dive bar outside of town. As you kind of drive up into the car park at the front. It's kind of early evening maybe by this point. So it's not hugely busy, but there's definitely some clientele. There's a few big trucks parked up in the car park there. And you will head inside. So what I want is if I can get everyone to give me a detail of what it's like inside Donnelly's. A detail that sort of shows how it's kind of rough, or there's a bit of a criminal element or something in here, and then a detail that shows how that's only kind of scratching the surface and there's something darker going on maybe. So if I can, again, I'll go through in character keeper order. So Ash, what do we see as you enter Donnelly's?
I think so one thing that sort of suggests a criminal element, and then something that suggests something darker than a criminal element.
Yeah.
Okay. I think a lot of the guys in here are in, are in some way or another armed. Like Oregon's an open carry state, so probably a lot of bars and stuff don't let like I'd imagine most drinking establishments, you're supposed to keep your gun in your car type of a thing, but they don't really push that too far here type of a thing. You know what I mean? So even though you're supposed to keep your gun in your car by probably state law, they let it slide here, right? So that's sort of like one element that shows like kind of rough in place. And now it's something darker. I think they've got sort of like the classic like sort of country bar type of thing where they've got like animal heads on the walls and stuff like that, and things like that. A lot of them though, like you can sort of see how like they've been sort of taxidermied up or whatever. And it looks like if you pay attention to them, they like often like show weird injuries that have been like stitched up when they're taxidermied.
Cool. Cool. And Colt, if you can again give a couple of details about Donnelly's.
I'm having trouble thinking of something that'd be a good sign of like a criminal element, but for the sign of something, I was thinking. I mean, most like regular people wouldn't notice it, but for like werewolves with our senses, there's like always like a not always, but there's usually some like pretty recent like blood stain out, like either in the bar or more likely like in the surrounding parking lot or area. There's just always some fresh blood around.
Yeah, sort of scent of blood on the air. I like that. That's cool. Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Yeah, cool. Mac.
So, being werewolves, I assume we can like maybe distinguish different smells. You know, even if certain smells are quite powerful. So, the most overpowering smell is that of smoke, because there's some heavy smokers in this bar, and they give no fucks about the law. That might be that might say they're not supposed to smoke indoors. A weird detail. I think we recognize the smell of a kind of herb, you know, some sort of hallucinogenic that is, you know, doesn't really work on humans. It's something that specifically wolves would use.
Nice, thank you. And finally, Doug.
At the back of the bar, near where there's the doors to the men and women's toilets, there's another door, and there's invariably a large bearded biker on a stool there with a beer, and only certain people get through that door.
Nice. Cool. Okay, yeah. So you enter in, and as I said, the air's sort of heavy with smoke. A couple of people will sort of turn and give you one of those sort of like what's the word I'm looking for? Indirect glances as you come in. They're obviously, you know, not trying to stare you down, but you know, you're aware that they're aware you're there, sort of thing. It's you know, and there's that kind of a couple of them. There's just like, you know, and you can probably sense just, you know, a couple of people kind of do tense up a little bit as you come in, and, you know, relax slightly. But you know, you definitely feel kind of noticed here, and so this certainly for Ash, it's probably, you know, I imagine it's not unusual for you to be here, and it doesn't feel like anything like usual, but yeah, it doesn't feel any different to normal particularly. It's not like there's a particular air of tension. It's just that, you know, the people that frequent this tend to be a little jumpy and yeah. So yeah, there's loud sort of rock music playing on a jukebox, in fact, or at least there is a jukebox here, and presumably the music is coming from it, or at least coming through the sound system from it. There are, I said, a scattering of people in here. A couple of people who are obviously truckers, some other people sort of sat around drinking beer. You know, so some people playing pool, and yeah, there's a big guy, kind of got like, you know, shaved head, is wearing a sort of leather cuff vest thing, who you are aware is Donnelly of the name, is sort of, you know, polishing glasses behind the bar.
Okay, so I'll go up to the bar.
he'll kind of eye you up and down and say, Mac, isn't it? Used to be a deputy, right?
Yeah, used to.
Well, what can I get you?
I'll take some kind of beer. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Some brand of beer that's local, sort of brewed.
Yep. There's for a kind of rough and tumble biker bear, there's a surprisingly good selection of local beers there, because you are in Oregon after all. So he'll kind of fish you out a bottle of something and open it and slide it along the bar to you.
Yep. Start taking a swig.
So, what brings you back into town? I thought you'd move to Portland.
Yeah, I'm still there, just here in business, really. Got a mother who's very upset. She lost her son.
Oh, happens.
Name of James McCree.
Can't say it rings a bell.
You don't have to know people's names. You might know a face, though. I put the paper, the picture from the paper in front of him.
Oh, yeah. Is that the kid got mauled by a bear or whatever out in the woods?
Yeah, or whatever.
As I say, doesn't look familiar. He may have been in here for a drink. He's going to kind of squint at the picture. Yeah, if he's old enough, anyway. But what can I say? Some tourist wanders out into the forest and gets attacked by animals. It's hardly anything I pay attention to.
What about what was the name? Claudia? I think she worked here.
Yeah, that was a shame. Real shame. She I mean, you know how I am. I don't like to judge, but she hit the bottle a bit too hard one evening after work, it seems, and drove straight off the bridge.
Okay, so while we're doing this conversation, I'm trying to get a sense of how much she's bullshitting me.
Sure thing. Do you think so? Probably the most the things that would kind of give you the ability to do that would be if you either you can harness the wolf to basically enhance your senses and kind of try and get a read on him that way, or use some other supernatural power you think you might have, which would be to act on instinct. There's probably a bit of overlap between the two there, but yeah, you can certainly use one of those to probably harness the wolf is the closer one, because it's more about finding out information.
All right. So let me just roll 2d6 in. So that's a 9 on the dice. I believe I have a +1. No. So it's just a 9.
Okay. You will get. You'll just get one question that you can ask. The list of questions are on the move there. So yeah. You can choose to ask me one of those questions about him, and you'll get a +1 forward if you for sort of acting on the information that you get from that.
Where is the trail? Where is my prey?
Certainly. You actually catch. It's not. You actually think that. You actually think that Donnelly is mostly being on the level with you. You think maybe the kid had been in here drinking, but he doesn't. He's not going to. He doesn't want to admit to that particularly. But you think more just because he just doesn't want to get involved, rather than because he actually thinks that there was any connection. As far as he's concerned, yeah, maybe the kid was a bit drunk when he got mauled by a bear, but he's not particularly. You don't get any sense of that he's particularly nervous around you or anything like that, or concealing anything. However, what you do get is you get a strong scent of wolf, and not a familiar wolf either. It does not smell like somebody from your pack. And it's coming from that back room that's guarded by the biker.
Friends in town?
You could say that. Some bikers have been renting one of my back rooms while they're here.
Good people?
They haven't caused me any trouble yet, and I'd like to keep it that way.
I think we'd all like a little less trouble. So, while this is going on, what's Ash doing?
I think Ash is just sort of he's come in and is sort of found a place at the bar and kind of turned his back to the bar, and Mac is sort of talking. I think Ash is more just like scanning the bar for like anyone who like seems out of place, and also like because like Ash is in here pretty frequently. Anyone who's sort of like, when he sort of is scanning over people, anyone who sort of looks at him with any like sense of challenge or anything, because Ash is pretty self-assured in this type of situation. So anyone who like anyone who sort of stares him back type of a thing is going to be catch his attention in this type of situation.
Sure thing. So yeah, I think you'll kind of get a similar sense. Like I said, it's not hugely busy in here at the minute. The sort of, it gets much busier in the evening, later in the evening, and yeah, there's a few, like I said, there's just a few people who obviously like kind of truckers and stuff who sort of are kind of doing that, they're sort of heads down, having a beer, having a burger, sort of thing. They're not not looking to sort of cause any trouble. The one who does kind of twig your that sort of sense in you is again this guy sat over by the back room. For start, you don't recognize him. He's not one of Donnelly's sort of usual staff, but the way he's sitting, he looks like he looks like he's in charge. Or not in charge, but he looks he looks like he's working. Essentially, he's clearly there to guard this room.
Makes sense. I think probably like Ash is just going to be eyeing up, and I think instead of going off and doing anything on his own, like that's kind of the cutaway as maybe Mac is finishing up the conversation, and Ash will probably sort of walk over to Mac as Mac's finishing up talking to the bartender.
All right. Well, thanks for the beer. Put a slight tip on there, and turn around, and there's Ash.
Ash will just kind of look at Mac and then just point his chin over towards the guy by the door a little bit, and sort of say, "I don't recognize him. What about you?"
They're guests of what is it?
Donnelly.
Donnelly, yeah. Guests of Donnelly's, apparently.
Do you think there's a chance they're related to either of our, I guess we're calling them murders now?
Well, Donnelly didn't recognize either of them. Well, he recognized Claudia, but as far as he knows, it was just an accident. And didn't smell anything off about him while he was saying that, so.
Well, the way I look at either we go out in the woods and start hiking all over Hell's Half Acre, trying to find some trace out there, or we push these guys a little and maybe see what shakes out.
You want to start a war already?
I didn't say start war. If I wanted to start war, I'd say start war. Just see how they react to a little friendly questioning. See if they seem, defensive. Or we could go hiking in the woods. Up to you, Mac.
Cool, and I think we'll cut there to back with
Doug,
yes, and Doug and Colt.
And we were at the lodge, weren't we?
Yep. But yeah, we can frame you somewhere else if you think if there's something you had in mind you wanted to go off and do, we can just cut straight to that.
I'd quite like to take Colt for a walk.
Yep, sure thing.
So unless Colt objects, I see us perhaps a mile from the lodge, and I've just been making small talk all the way, and then I turn to him and say, "So, what are you afraid of, kid?"
What am I afraid of? The usual things, I guess. Death, pain. What are you afraid of?
I slap him. Wrong answer, kid. What are you afraid of?
Whoa! What?
Slap him again. What are you afraid of, kid?
I'm gonna try to harness the wolf to see what does he want.
Sure thing. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. 2d6.
So when you're doing this, are you sort of staying in human form, but just trying to kind of like enhance your senses, or are you actually going to turn into a wolf at this point?
No, I'm staying in human form for now,
Yep.
and just like trying to listen into my senses, see if I got any instincts telling me.
Sure thing.
Okay. I'm not sure where the. Oh, there it is. Okay. I think I got a 12.
Cool. Yeah. So that's wrong. Sorry, I just lost myself. Yes. So a 12. So on 12 on harness the wolf. Yeah, you use your wolf senses and instincts to find something, or find out information. So you get to with the 12, you get to ask me 3 questions, or in this case, it might be directly to Doug. You don't have to necessarily ask all the questions at the same time. You can ask one or more now, and then ask the others later in the scene if you want. So yeah, what do you want to ask?
First question: what do they really want?
Yep. So I'll throw that one over to Doug.
He genuinely wants you to tell him what you're afraid of, and but he clearly has an idea of what the right answer is.
Okay. I'm gonna ask a second question now. What smells wrong here? Because I don't know. Something seems off. Yeah.
Sure. So I think you can smell the scent of. Again, this is actually very similar to what they're just discovering in the bar. But you can smell, and you're not far from the lodge here. And the lodge is very much the heart of your territory. But you can smell just faintly the scent of other wolves. And not necessarily nearby right now, but you can definitely smell their scent. They have been here recently, and there's enough of a trail for you to follow if you so desire.
Going to ask another question?
I think I'm going to save my third for later, and Colt's gonna just like sort of visibly brace himself and say, "That's none of your business," and just try to shove. Doesn't slap hard, but just sort of shoves him back and stuff.
Sure.
I'm not trying to hurt him, so I don't think this counts as the mauling move.
No, that's right. If mauling is when you're like specifically trying to attack rather than just push off. Yeah, that's fine.
In which case, I'll slap him again and say, "What are you afraid of, Colt Cub?" I'm actually seeking to provoke spill.
That's what I suspected. So yes, when you do something to provoke a packmate to reveal how they really feel, roll plus heart.
Okay, so that's +2 for me. That's 8. On 7 to 9, they spill and you choose 1. Their response provokes you to spill as if they'd roll a 10+, or they can opt to omit an aspect of the truth in their spill response, but you don't get the pack pool elements of the spill move. Okay, I would like Colt to spill, and I will also spill as if he had rolled 10.
That's perfect. Yep. So we will now look at the spill move. Werewolves' feelings and emotions are much closer to the surface than humans, and the close nature of the pack means you express them more readily. When you openly and truthfully express one of the following, your desire for a packmate, why you are hurting, what you are angry about, and what you are afraid of. We then add +2 to the pack pool and give your packmate +1 tie on you. It can be used with NPC packmates, though you don't give them a tie in that instance because NPCs don't hold ties. So yes, we'll go with Colt first. You don't necessarily have to answer. You don't necessarily have to spill about the topic he provoked, but you do have to spill. So yeah, you have to choose one of those 4 options of things that you want to truthfully express.
Okay. I think I'm going to go with what are you afraid of? Colt says, I don't want to get kicked out. I mean, I've just got into this pack and we're freaking werewolves. This is like the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me. I don't want to get out of the pack yet. I mean, I don't. Yeah, people get exiled apparently. I don't want to get exiled.
Okay, that's a true answer. Don't give me this death and taxes shit. Right? When I ask you, you tell me the truth. And do you know what I'm angry about? Is that you have not told people that. Because we need to know how other members of the pack tick, okay?
All right.
Very nice.
Now just mechanically, just follow me on this one.
Yep.
So when you openly and truthfully express one of the following, so Colt has truthfully expressed that.
Yep.
So he gets to add 2 to the pack pool.
That's right.
And he gives me 1 tie on him.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I put a tick next to Colt on my sheet. And
That's
Colt
right.
goes to the pack sheet and puts another 2 ticks in the pack pool. Yeah.
That's right. And
I did that.
yeah, cool.
And is it also true that because I spilled as well, we do the exact same the other way around?
That's correct. So
so I get to add another 2, taking the pack pool to 7,
and
Colt puts a tick next to me. I'm with you. Okay,
Great.
Can I just say, I think that's a delightful bit of mechanics.
It's lovely. I love the fact that being messy and emotional is just good for everyone, technically, except when it isn't. But you know, yes, no, that's cool.
I will say one other thing though before we finish that scene. I'll say to Colt, do you smell anything funny?
Yeah. I think I smell some other wolves, and like here. This is way too. I mean, we're nowhere near the borders.
Let's just follow our noses, shall we?
Yeah, that sounds good.
And I think we walk off into the forest.
Yeah. Colt, do you want to ask your final question as you're heading off into the forest from that harness the wolf move?
Yes, I'm going to ask, where does the pack need to be?
Sure. That's yeah. So, and it's actually once you start getting a little closer, because as I said, the scent that you got was kind of a little faint. It wasn't that strong, and that's when you realize that the reason for that, there's a stream a little ways behind. Well, I mean, you said you're about a mile away from the lodge at this point, but it's a little further along. There's a stream leading down from the mountains, and you realize that the wolves that you can scent must have been traveling along the river to mask their scent. You think they've actually headed upstream, so further into the mountains, and assuming that they're sort of heading up that way. That's where they'll be. And it's funny actually, because when you sort of think about it, Evelyn Moore works as a park ranger these days, and this where the sort of stream leads to is actually up towards the ranger station. And yes, we will return to Ash and Mac at Donnelly's.
You just wait and see if these strangers come out of the bar for to do whatever it is they're here for.
Ash will kind of sigh, and then he'll take a long look at Mac and be like, "Yeah, watching them and seeing what they get up to is probably the better play."
But that's not what you want to do, I guess.
It isn't what I want to do, but we'll try it your way first, because if your way doesn't work, then my way will. Then that's a good time to do my way.
I can work with that.
So muted. Okay, so yeah, if you're going to stake out this room, I think we'll probably call that an act on instinct, because I think you're under the threat of discovery here, essentially. I think the guy guarding the room has obviously clocked that you are here, but hasn't yet sort of seen you pay attention. But if you're basically trying to stake it out, there's a chance that he will notice you, and act on that information. So yeah, that's a roll with Feral.
My Feral. Right.
I'll get a mixed success.
Cool.
Same here.
Yep, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll just roll this two together, because I think it was. So yeah. I think so. On a 7 to 9, you do it, but the MC describes how the situation is not under your control. So yeah, I think you will be sitting there watching the room when you will actually. There's a number of things you'll hear. You'll hear the roar of some engines outside, and a group of men and women will come in. They're all again wearing sort of biker leathers. They've all got, you know, patches on them with a wolf howling at the moon because they're werewolf bikers. They are not subtle. But there's probably like half a dozen of them or so all come in as a group. And they haven't noticed you yet, but you can smell them. You know that they are wolves. And you know it won't be long until they notice you as well. You have got time to get out if you want, or to act with sort of surprise on your side. But yeah, you know that they will become aware of your presence very soon.
So assuming they come in and they go up to the bar and get some drinks, right?
Yeah.
So
one of them will
interaction with Donnelly.
Yeah, sure.
How you're interacting with Donnelly.
Yeah, so a couple of them will go up to the bar, and you know they're obviously ordering drinks. The others are actually heading towards the back room, though they haven't made it there yet. Donnelly seems nervous around them a little. He's not showing it because he's kind of used to this sort of crowd, but you can tell that he's nervous. These are serious people in a bar that's kind of full of you know people that are dangerous. He's particularly leery around them, and he gets like a couple of like big buckets with ice filled with beers, and sort of puts them down on the bar for these guys have gone over there for the drinks.
Wanna go make friends?
Hey, we could go over and talk to them. Or we could try and track them down later. How friendly are you feeling?
I want to get an answer. Some. I don't think talking's gonna be very useful this time.
Yeah, and I guess it would be more in keeping with the spirit of what we do, that if we're going to not talk, it maybe should be more than just the two of us, he said, sort of counting them as they come in, and then we'll be like, can't stay in here forever, or they're going to figure out we're here, that we're not just another one of the dry noses clogging it up in here.
Oh, you want to leave now?
What's your alternative plan? I'm not saying we have to leave. I just don't know how we could get more information now. But, like, I mean, if you got a plan, I'll back your play.
Let's go.
Thought so. As we're heading out of the bar, I presume they've got like a rack of bikes outside, or like they've got a bunch of bikes sitting outside.
Yeah.
Ash is going to try and like grab some like small personal object off them, like a bandana, a pair of gloves, something that's been sitting there that might have their scent they can bring back to the rest of the pack.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, he said that quite a few of them will have like, it said, you know, gloves like stuck in the like just left over the pannier or what have you, and yeah, you can grab something like that. Yeah, that's cool. Brilliant. So, yeah, I think you can get that, and then head back. Well, head wherever you want, obviously, but yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna again. Mac's not really concerning himself with what oh, he's not concerning himself with what Ash is doing. He's just doing his own thing. So he's gonna go to the he's gonna head. Actually, you'll ask first, like, okay, so Claudia, right? Where was she found? I know where the other guy was found.
Yeah. So, yeah, Claudia was found in the river, where she's driven off. This other guy was found a little ways into the forest, that a ways.
Okay, so I'll head towards where I know the guy was first.
Yeah, cool. Oh, I did think actually, one thing you will have noticed, Ash, when you were looking for personal objects on the bikes, they've all got like all the bikes have like saddlebags on them. And as you were noticing those, you will have found a few sets of clothing in them, just kind of bundled up in there, not being put away with any sort of care. But you get that feeling when you're like looking for the when you're sort of searching through, the clothing still feels warm. It's clearly been, someone has been wearing it fairly recently. It's like sort of jeans and jeans and t-shirts and that. Nothing particularly out of the ordinary, but yeah.
Fair enough. The clothing, it seems in line with the type of stuff that those guys might be wearing, or
it definitely seems the same sort of thing. Yeah.
All right,
the same sort of style.
Fair enough. Well, Ash will note that. And is Mac wandering off on foot? Is he getting? I'm not sure what they're doing for vehicles or what, but
I imagine Mac has a car, but I think the area where the boy was found, the guy was found, is easy to get to on foot.
Yep. It's a little bit away, but it is on a sort of a walking trail, essentially, like a hiking trail.
Just to clarify, this boy is like a young adult.
Yeah.
Because we did establish that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's possibly not quite old enough to drink in this state, but certainly old enough that he was probably drinking at the bar when.
Okay, so I'm just gonna Mac's just sort of stalking off in that direction.
Ash will shadow him, sort of like let sort of Mac take the lead, and obviously Mac doesn't particularly care if Ash follows or not. So, but Ash is also going to be like following back a little ways behind because he's partially like keeping an eye out to see if like there might be some of those bikers who didn't all go into the bar, or some of them might have followed them, or some of them might be out here in the woods. So,
yep. Excellent.
So, a little bit of spill. Mac is he's still feeling hurt because of the way the side that you took in the events before. So he wants to be more friendly with you, but he can't let himself.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think as do you think as they're walking at all, like with Ash sort of coming up behind, do you think there's like is Mac going to slow at all to like maybe encourage Ash to get up to him, or does he like purposely maintain the distance?
Yeah, I think he like sort of pauses and sort of doesn't quite turn his head, in a sort of "Are you coming or what?" sort of gesture, and then keeps walking.
Ash, Ash will speak, but it's just like business with Ash. Ash will just like keep your head about you. Some of them might be out here. Yeah, just very straightforward.
If they do, we can talk to them.
Yeah, talk. I'm sure that'll work.
Cool. Yeah, so you can carry on down the forest a little ways. So yeah, Ash, you said that you were keeping an eye out for signs of these wolves. Do you want to make? Are you going to be making a harness the wolf here to sort of extend your senses beyond your normal human capacity?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I'll roll that.
Yep, certainly. So yeah, that's a feral roll again.
That'll be a miss.
Sure thing. Sure thing. I will point out here actually, because this is a we do have the sorry, just going back to the so we have points in the pack pool now. There is a pack move called assist. So the way assist works is you can spend up to 3 pack pool to assist a pack member after they've already rolled the dice. There are some restrictions to using any pack moves, which is to say that you have to have at least 2 pack mates acting together. You have to be doing something that's following the alpha's orders or wishes, and it can't break with the traditions. So those requirements are there, but Mac could conceivably assist you with this if and spend pool points, pack pool to bring you up to a success. Perhaps I don't know what you actually rolled, but that's.
I'd need 2 to get up to a mixed success.
So yeah, Mac, do you think you want to assist in this?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, brilliant. So yeah, I think what happens here. I've just taken those 2 pool points off. So yeah, what will happen? It's quite obvious. I mean, you were both out here searching anyway, so it makes sense that the 2 of you combined will notice something going on. Ash, you get to ask 1 question off of the list about the current situation.
I think I'm going to go with the what smells wrong here.
Yep, certainly. So yeah, you obviously got like the scent of a couple of different bikers from the stuff that you got outside the bar, and like I said, from like a couple of the gloves and like helmets even that are still like hanging over the handlebars. You can definitely smell that kind of their scent trail. There's not a direct scent trail from here because you don't think they've actually come down this path, but you can sort of sense them back in the direction of the bar, which makes perfect sense. But a couple of the scent trails there's a couple of the scents that you picked up from the clothing that was in the saddlebags is actually coming from further into the woods. You think they're in that direction, and putting two and two together, you'd suspect that they are in wolf form, and hence the not wearing clothes. So I think we will take a quick, a couple of minute break here. Well, as long as people need, up to about 5 minutes or so. And once everyone's back, we will carry on.
Nope.
So somebody tell me how I get a character picture to link apparently directly to a cell rather than cut and paste and size it.
Yeah, I'd like to figure that one out too.
But you seem to have. Is that picture in your character keeper? I assume that's linked to that Earl.
Yeah, you just get the URL for the picture you want, and then put it in the image URL bit. But I don't know how you actually set that up in the character keeper.
Dave, any advice? You're muted, kid.
So I am. Yeah, the only slight trick to it is it has to be like a link directly to the image itself, because sometimes if like the link isn't actually to the image but it's kind of to a site, it might not pick up the image link correctly. So that's why sometimes it doesn't work when you put the address into the thing. But essentially, what I've done to get that working on the sheet is just there's a what do you call it, like a macro thing, not a macro, a formula thing in Google Documents. It's just called like it's just like equals image, and you can then just refer that to another cell that contains the URL file, or you can just copy and paste it in. But yeah, that's how I've sort of set it up on there.
Okay. I think it probably is that I've got a page, not an image reference. Right. No, thank you for that. I shall experiment with that in my own time.
Cool. Oh, the other thing I will, and just while Wade's getting back as well, I do realise what I did forget to do. I know we talked offline, which is why I didn't stop sooner to do it. But I didn't do our safety talk at the beginning of this session, so slap on the wrist for myself for that. But said as we discussed offline, we're using lines and veils as ever. Hopefully we haven't had I don't think we've had any problems yet, but if we do need to use the X card, usually you can flash an X, you can type in the chat, you can just say I'd like to X card something to bring the scene to a stop. We'll work out what content we want to avoid going forwards, and avoid it. We will you don't need to explain why you want to X card anything, but I might need to ask exactly what the content is that you want us to avoid, so that we can do that going forward. But you don't need to justify yourself if you bring content in an RX carded. No need to apologize. Just we'll just move on. There's no need to sort of justify the other way either as to why I did this. So that we'll be using it. I just thought I'd bring that up, so we might be getting into territory where it's necessary. As I said, we're also using the script change tools, which I won't go into huge detail on now. They work in a similar way to the X card. You can essentially call for a pause, which basically means we just take a moment and then carry on, or take a moment and discuss what's going on before we carry on. You can rewind which is what functions a bit like the X card. So can we just step the scene back a bit to where this happened and do it a bit differently? There's a couple of other bits and pieces as well, but those are the main ones for the time being. So yes, I should have done that at the beginning, but didn't. So sorry about that. The other thing, just before we sort of get into the action, I realise I'm really bad at doing this even as a player, and I'm even worse at doing it as a GM. At the end of the scene, we should just take a little pause to go through and check if anyone has triggered experience. So I'm just going to consult the list here, and we can kind of retroactively do so. So I think so far people have been in human form most of the time, so most of these points will be marked against your human track. Playing to your heartbeats. This means basically when you are the three heartbeats we've got, when you're acting in accordance with those, you get to mark points on here. I think everyone has gained at least 1 point in that so far in the scenes we've done. So feel free to mark a point, everyone, for that.
I think Colt has been great at being energetic and naive.
Exactly, yeah. I think that Colt and Doug can both mark one as well for sharing a moment of heartfelt camaraderie. That sort of double spill move definitely felt appropriate for that. Displaying pack culture, I am sure that everyone has done this at least once today. So again, everyone can mark a point for that. If you think there's anything else you've triggered, then do let me know. And like I said, I will try and be better going forwards at actually just having a quick moment at the end of each scene to just go back over those. But like I said, I always take those get XP when you do stuff moves as a player in PBTA games, and I invariably forget about them every single time.
I mean, from my point of view, I think it's for us to prompt you, not the other way around.
Yeah.
That shares the cognitive load.
Yeah. Cool. So that's all the those last minute housekeeping bits to go on. So I think what we're going to probably have now is a scene where all four of you through your own will be converging at the ranger station, where as you will all be aware by now, a group of these what are they called? They'll be the Howling Wolf MC. An outlaw biker gang and werewolf pack are going to try and take down Evelyn in her ranger station.
Can I just say, Dave, I would have been very disappointed if we'd not had a werewolf motorcycle pack in my single entry into this session, into this sequence.
Yeah, sometimes you've just got to go for the obvious. I think we'll say for sake of argument that you can all kind of converge together, because obviously once you will start getting closer to the ranger station, you'll be able to tell where each other are anyway, and you'll be able to communicate should the need arise. So yeah, I think you will get there before the attack has been launched, but only just because the bikers have been specifically moving with stealth. But yeah, so I think this range station is in a clearing, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like it's kind of not a big building, but it's a sort of, mostly a one-story building. It's not like a visitor center sort of thing, but there probably is like a little public facing office. And there's a sort of a firewatch tower over it as well. Yeah, I think we'll just do a very brief scene setting thing. Yeah, I just want you to go around. Nothing too major, just to give me a single detail about this place that kind of shows the natural beauty of the area. And I'll start with, actually I'll go back the other way this time. So I'll start with Doug and go right to left on the character keeper, just to change things up a little.
I think that what kind of time of day is this? Is it dusk, dawn?
Dusk.
It must be late, mustn't it? Dusk.
The sun's sort of going down.
Okay, I think probably as Colt and I make our way up this stream towards the ranger stations, following this scent, there's in the movie, there'll be that pause, and I'll turn to one side, and you see a deer just drinking a little further up the stream, giving the impression of unspoilt wilderness.
Nice. Yeah, so Mac.
And it's there's like the tall trees. I don't know if they have redwoods in Oregon.
I'm gonna say yes. I could be wrong, but no, I wouldn't be surprised. It's on the West Coast, and they certainly have them in California, which it shares a border with. So yeah, knock yourself out. I do apologize for my lack of knowledge of the area.
So I think there's just this, these towering trees the size of building sort of things. And there's just sort of sense of being enclosed in a natural space.
Cool. Yeah, so Colt.
we mentioned a river. Can the river be passing by pretty close? Just sort of have like a
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and Ash. Ash. Sorry.
I think as it's like heading near sunset or whatever, there's like I'm not sure how close up into the mountains we are, but basically the light sort of coming through there creates like really sharp spaces of like light and shadow from that setting sun.
Cool. Yeah, that's perfect. And it's actually in those patches of shadow, you see the shape of some wolves kind of loping through, casting quite long shadows back in the setting sun, sort of exaggerating their long legs. And you can smell the pack on them. They smell of tar and dust as they advance together, moving in a loose formation, but definitely with sort of an awareness of each other's presence. Again, there's about half a dozen of them or so. And they are slowly encircling the ranger's station. Ash, what do you do?
I think Ash will actually sort of as he's coming up with Mac, will look over at Mac and say, he'll just simply ask, are you here for this? Can we trust you?
I'm here. I'm not gonna let this go down.
At which point, Ash will be like, I guess we'll see, and start probably taking off a jacket or something like that to start shifting into wolf form.
Yep. Excellent.
Yeah, Mac takes off his trench coat and his his suit and stuff.
Awesome. So, yes, you're able to turn into your wolf form. As I mentioned before, you can, if you wish, choose to harness. No, sorry, not harness the wolf. The opposite. Give in to the wolf. For which you will roll feral. This will essentially give you numerical bonuses, mostly when you are in your wolf form. However, on a failed roll, you can temporarily lose control of yourself as the wolf takes over, which can obviously have some unintended consequences, as well as being a violation of your traditions. As I say, you are not required to do this, but you can if you so wish.
Does that have to be at the point of transformation?
No, it does. You can do it whilst you are transformed, so you can kind of wait and see how it's going, and then decide later. But yes, you can do it as you transform if you want to. For that one, you do specifically have to be a wolf in order to make that move. You can't do that in human form. Cool. I guess then we'll flip back over to Doug and Colt. As you're coming up, you're probably coming in. I'm going to say roughly at right angles to each other, give or take. As in the two groups of you are. So yeah, what are you doing as you approach the ranger station?
As soon as Colt sees the other wolves around the station, he's just gonna transform just right away and like rush in there trying to like make a racket to give people a heads up.
Excellent, excellent. That's what I like to hear. So let me see. So yes, just seeing if this is a.
I'd like to give in to the wolf if I can.
Oh yes, you can absolutely give in to the wolf. So yeah, you can roll feral.
All right. I think I got a 6. Are the for roll for your party? Are the new rules on the left or?
No, it's not as simple as that. They're numerical. So the best thing to do is to, if you click on the dice, on one of the dice, they highlight in red. So click on 2 of your light blue dice and then re-roll selected, the big green button, and you'll re-roll the same pair. At the minute, you're just generating additional dice.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
That's okay.
Oh, yeah, I got a 6 or 5.
Okay. And
time for an assist.
Yeah. So what? Sorry, that's. I mean, is that counting your feral in that score?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, so I guess, Doug, do you think that there is a way that you can help him with this?
Yeah, I grab him by the scruff of the neck.
Yep.
And I slap the muzzle once, just to bring him round. Get a fucking grip.
Excellent. Yep. No, I will allow that. So, was it a point? Was it a set? It was a 6 in total. You said you got, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
I'm prepared to spend 1 to get him above the line.
Yeah, that's fair. And yes, the costs for failing on that can be quite severe. So yes, that's cool. That will bring you up to a 7, which will allow you to choose 1 from the list. Colt. So I'll just quickly read through those so people are aware of them. I mean, obviously in the sheet, but yeah. So you can. The most complicated one is you can reduce your heart and guts scores by up to 2 points and increase your teeth and feral by up to 2 points. That's in total. So you can take up to 2 points from heart and guts and put 2 points into teeth and feral. That change is obviously only temporary for the time that this move is in effect. You can gain +1 harm when you attack with your bite and claws. You can gain +2 armor, or you can add +2 to the pack pool, or you can heal 1 additional harm when you return from wolf form. Whenever you return from wolf form, you heal 3 points of harm if you've taken any. So which one of those do you want to choose?
I'm gonna add 2 to the pack pool.
Nice. So that gives a net gain of 1 pack pool there. Yeah, it means that we. Yeah, cool. Perfect. So yeah, you kind of get a bit of a grip, but yeah, you're still able to run down, and your howl alerts. Well, I mean, we don't see evidence of this, but you know that your howl will have alerted Evelyn inside, so she will not be taken by surprise by this, and it kind of emboldens you and your fellows as you hear the sort of the howl of attack through the forest, and it will startle the wolves below. So, Doug, what are you going to do now that you've
I will also transform.
Yeah,
and this lean grey wolf will lope after this energetic cub, and I want to harness the wolf as I go.
Yep, certainly. You can roll.
Okay, so this is plus heart, which is 2, which gets me to 11.
Nice. So yeah, you get 3 questions.
Yeah. 3 questions. I want to know, in terms of the wolves that I can see sneaking up on the ranger station, who is the weakest? Where's the weak links?
So the weakest, there is one who is just physically smaller than the other wolves, and they're probably sort of, you can tell they're aware of this, and they are probably on the side. They're probably just on the side of the ranger station where it's just a couple of windows rather than covering one of the doors. But yeah, you can definitely tell that they are physically weaker than their compatriots.
So I've spotted the weak link. I also want to know what is the biggest threat to the pack. I mean, whether that transfers into who is the strongest, I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, I think. Okay, so I think actually what you're going to get here is you can tell by the body language of these wolves and the way they interact with each other, the scent off of them. They are all members of a pack. They are all working in concert with each other. They seem to be used to working together, and there's probably, you can tell that they're kind of deferring to one of the number here. But that is not an alpha. So what I'm going to say is, yeah, you can work out, it's a kind of I guess a swings and roundabouts one here. You can tell that that one, the defector, is probably the most dangerous warrior here, but you actually think that the biggest threat overall to the pack is probably whoever's actually in charge of their pack, who is not here, essentially.
Okay. So there's a local lead.
Yep.
But somewhere there's probably an alpha who's instigated this.
Yep.
Okay. Can I keep my third?
You can. Yep. You can absolutely keep it.
And on the basis of that, I get +1 forward per question if you immediately act on the answer.
Yep.
I am going to try and shoulder Colt towards that weakest link.
Sure thing.
Now I don't need. I mean, I act on instinct.
No, I think that's probably. So I think that's probably just something you can do. I don't think there's a move there specifically, unless you have one that would sort of kick in.
I mean, the only one is dominate, which seems a bit of a sledgehammer to crack a nut.
No, exactly.
Unless Colt wants to go for the biggest threat.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I don't think there's really a move here, unless Colt isn't going to follow your lead and you try and push the matter, basically.
Okay,
I'll follow the lead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I want to head for the lead wolf.
Sure thing. Cool. So we'll come back to that in a second. I'm going to cut back briefly to Ash and Mac. As you're both obviously now transformed and coming in, you can see obviously at this point the other two are charging in towards other wolves. They both obviously have a target that they have locked onto and are sort of streaking towards. Ash, what are you going to do?
Seeing his pack get in there, he's going to go into an all-out sprint to try and close in and get him beside them. He doesn't want to be taking these guys on piecemeal. He wants to be beside his pack mates.
Yeah, excellent. Mac.
First of all, Mac also will harness the wolf to, just try and sniff the air and get a sense of the situation.
Perfect. Yep. Roll it. That's heart again.
Yep. That's a 4.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, cool. I think we'll come back to that in a second. Yes, sorry. We'll go back to Colt first, I think. So you're bearing down on this wolf. It's they're a male, kind of, like I said, more rangy, and they've got that kind of reddish fur to them, rather than being sort of a big timber wolf type thing. They as they sense you coming towards them, they're going to turn around to snap at you, but you get the chance to sort of go for them first. So how does that look like when you come for them?
Just running straight at them, trying to sort of start biting, I guess.
Yeah, cool. So if you want to, this is our first look at the mauling roll, which is a nice name. So this is a roll with teeth when you use physical violence in a situation, which covers a number of things.
Oh, I got a 10.
A 10, excellent. So you get to choose 10 from the following list. You will do harm, which in the case of actually there's a little table with this somewhere. I'll look that up in a sec. But yeah, you'll do the regular damage for a wolf's bites and claws, but you get to choose 2 other things. You can either take -1 harm when the other wolf retaliates against you. You can heal one. You can deal +1 harm. You can discern your opponent's next move. You can knock someone out. You can impress or intimidate somebody. Or the final one, do not take -1 forwards on your next give in to the wolf move. Just a nice little one in there.
I'm going to knock this one out and impress or intimidate someone.
Sure. Yeah, you can take them. Like I said, they're obviously a weaker wolf that was already established. And I think what happens is you come in, you grab them, and you sort of probably do grab them around the throat, but they don't really put up all that much of a struggle even, and you kind of barrel them forwards into the side of the ranger station, and their head cracks against the side of the building, and they drop to the floor, unconscious. And in fact, as that happens, and the kind of their neck slips out of your teeth, they actually transform back, and it's a scrawny kid, probably maybe even slightly younger than Colt. He also actually has that kind of reddish hair, a bit like his wolf there, and is obviously he's sort of lying naked on the floor. And who do you think you impress or intimidate?
Well, Hart's right there, so either him or I guess someone on the opposition. Do you have a preference?
Yeah, Doug, what do you think? Do you think that you'll be impressed by this, or do you think it's more interesting to
I think it's about intimidating the other wolves around.
Yeah, certainly.
I think we've diverged enough that fictionally it's quite difficult for me to be kind of looking at you.
That's cool. So yeah, I think that you hear as you take this wolf out, it lets out a kind of strangled half howl before it's knocked unconscious, and I think you kind of hear that like slight whimpering sound from a couple of the other wolves as they get the gist of what's happening here. Awesome. And I think we are going to go back to Doug as you attack the stronger wolf.
I don't attack him.
Sorry,
I'm going to dominate him. So I to get his attention. and then I am channeling all the experience, all the wisdom that says, I may not be as big as you, I may not be as young as you, but I have killed bigger than you.
Nice. I like it.
And I have the move, let me just find it, Close to the Wild. When you dominate someone in wolf form, use feral instead of teeth. So I roll +2. Whoops, and that one. Oh, and snake eyes.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay, so
I've forgotten I'm not the alpha.
Yep. We'll come back to that in a second. So Mac, yeah, you've turned into a wolf, and you're scenting the air as you kind of stalk towards the as you stalk towards the clearing with the range station. And just for a moment, the wind just changes direction slightly, and you suddenly get another scent. And this isn't the scent of a wolf; this is the scent of a man. From back behind, from where you were, and just as you're kind of remarking on that, a gunshot. Well, no, a gunshot doesn't ring out, but you have very definitely just been shot. You can make out just that kind of soft whomp of a bullet slamming into you, probably fired from a gun with a suppressor on it. And sorry, I was just got to find the right page again. I'm just gonna look at, there's some indicative harm numbers somewhere. Yeah. So can you take me 4 points of harm, please? And I will also ask you to make me a guts roll, please. This is the harm move.
Okay, so remind me how harm works.
So you should see there's a on the character keeper. I've split it up into 3 columns, 3 rows rather, mostly just for ease of formatting, but also because there's sort of 3 levels of wounds you have. So you have when you have up to 3 harm, your wounds will slowly heal over time. When you have between 4 to 6 wounds, you'll be stable on that, but you won't heal except with medical attention. From 7 to 9 harm, you'll actually get worse without medical attention. You'll sort of bleed out basically. If you are in human form and you take up to 9 harm, you will die. In wolf form, you can take an additional 2 harm on top of that 9 before you die. And also, when you turn back from a wolf form into a human form, you heal 3 harm. So in this case, yeah, you mark 4 boxes as you have done there. But yes, if you can make me a guts roll, please.
Okay. So I have +3 guts.
Nice.
So that's a 10.
Perfect. I think I will double check, but I think that means you're fine. Yeah, that's it. So, I'll actually read through the harm move because it's kind of quite useful. So on a failed roll, bad things will happen to you, unsurprisingly. On a 7 to 9, you have to either choose fight or flight. If you choose flight, you have to leave the scene. If you choose fight, then basically I give you an adverse condition. You lose your footing, you lose your grip on something or someone, you lose track of something important, something like that. On the 10 up, which you got, you can either just choose nothing happens, and that's fine, or you can reduce the amount of harm you take by 1, but I choose one of the things from the 7 to 9 list to affect you. So you can, if you wish to, not take one of those points of harm, but I will do something to you in return. So it's your choice.
I'll lose the point of harm.
Sure thing. And what do I? I'm going to say you lose track of someone important. So you take this, you take the bullet, and it scatters you. You kind of it's not too bad. You can kind of still keep your forward momentum, but it does just distract you for a moment. And when you take in a breath again, you can that scent of the man has gone, and you can't pick it up again, almost as if it wasn't there in the first place. It's odd. And Ash, what are you doing? So you'll see, obviously, Ash. Sorry, you can obviously see that Colt has taken down one of the wolves. You see Doug confronting a large wolf. There's still several others are surging towards the ranger station where Evelyn is. What do you do?
How much of do I notice about what happened with Mac behind?
Yeah, you may have noticed it, or you may have noticed that he's slowed down. You probably didn't hear a shot because it was it said it's quite well silenced. But yeah, you can probably smell the blood from him.
Okay. Well, seeing that, even if I don't know the source, seeing that like Mac is down, the other two seem to be sort of handling themselves for the moment. I'll circle back and sort of like loom over Mac, sort of in wolf form, and sort of growling and sort of looking for whatever caused him that issue, whatever hurt him. And I do have as the enforcer a move called Borrow Trouble, which allows me to redirect trouble from someone or something to myself. Can I do that here? Making a big threat of myself?
Certainly.
All right. Okay, so I got a full success. So you and the person you are protecting escape the current danger.
Perfect. Yep. So I think you will kind of shield Mac and kind of herd him away from this particular patch that you were in. I think maybe there's another. Again, you don't really hear it so much as feel a bullet go past you, but it misses and thunks into a tree, and you see it tears quite a big hole in the bark of the tree. This is even though it's been sort of obviously like silenced, this is a powerful rifle that's being fired. It's it's not just a sort of someone's 22 they use for plugging squirrels sort of thing. It's a high caliber rifle that's being used, but you managed to get away from that area, and no further shots will come for the time being. And so I think we're just coming up to time now. So Doug.
Indeed.
Yes.
So what happens to Doug, Dave?
Yeah. So as I said, he's staring down this wolf, and growling, but this other wolf isn't cowed. It's big. Its eyes flare. Its hackles rise. It growls in response, and with lightning speed, leaps forward, catches Doug by the throat and hauls him sideways. There's a sound of like crunching bone as he's flung sideways against a tree and drops motionless to the ground. I think we will. We'll see if you're able to join us again for another time. We may be able to bring Doug back, but I think for the time being, we can assume that Doug is very much out of the picture, possibly for good. Yes, we will. Well, as I said, we will stop things there, and we'll pick up at this somewhat cliffhangery moment next time. So yeah, thank you everyone. I will stop recording in a second. We'll have a quick debrief if people have time to do so. If you need to get off, that's perfectly fine. But yeah, thank you again for the game, and we'll speak to you all. See you soon.